All right, starting momentarily. Good morning. All right, I'm checking the sound here. Hello, hello, hello. 1, 2. Check, check, check. More coffee. Well, that's not going to work. All right, the sound should be a lot better this time. Did some upgrades. Kemetic Trading Group. How are you? Good morning. People of Earth. We're going to start in about 5 minutes. Let's get some more people in here first. Good morning, good morning. People of Earth. Should be top-notch sound quality today. Top-notch. As long as it's loud enough. Does sound pretty good, I have to say. All right, hang out a few minutes and we'll get going. We'll look at the Forex. We'll look at the cryptos. We'll understand what's going on and possibly get a trade. What's up, 9 viewers? Did you survive the crypto move? I did so well, I almost don't want to tell anybody because they're going to be like, come on, Pete, you're full of shit. And we'll get into that. I'll have to show you my account if you don't believe me. Put on music for a second. Is that possible? I don't even know. I think it is. Nah, whatever. Not going to worry about that. Good morning. Starting in like 2 minutes. Dr. Phil, I know your name. I remember I do know. All right. Yeah. You, I got. Most other people, I'm still confused. Who's who? How's the sound, though, right? How about that sound? Should be pretty good. All right. Sound is good, good, good. So yeah, I'm kind of on a normal sleep schedule, like a normal human being for the first time in years. I think I like it. So we might be starting 7 a.m. New York time for a little while. I don't know. That's the plan right now, I think. Me and my no plan. So everyone should be seeing the MT4 chart here, live chart. If not, let me know. And let me get caught up because I haven't looked at it since last week because I didn't trade yesterday. Well, not the Forex. So first, let me get caught up. Reset. The Great Reset. Oh, no, not the Great Reset. Just a reset of the chart. Okay. No great reset. We don't. I still need a cough button, though, like I used to have. I do a lot of that. Carlos Wangson. I was going to change my name to Mr. C, but I can't find the place to me. Yeah, I know who you are. Okay, gotcha. That is Chad. Gotcha. All right. Sounding good. All right. I like the upgrade. Okay. So let me get caught up here. How about those charts? What is doing what? Would be my first question. So the pound yen is a new high ground. I'm just looking at the correlations first. Pound yen is a new high ground while the others are sort of a little dip, a little sideways. You see the pound moving up today against the dollar and the yen pretty well. Just getting my bearings. What's driving things? Not so much the US dollar and the yen. Well, at least that's not the only big factor, as sometimes it is. But we have the pound move. All right, and euro is hanging out at the lows. Logic says the euro pound chart has tanked a bit. And there it is. Amazing. Dollar yen back in its flat mode now, a day and a half. All right. Good morning, good morning. So let me check news first. Checking news today, Tuesday, January 12th, 2021. Checking news. Very light news day. Yeah, nothing important going on in the world. So, very light news day today. There was pound news 2 hours ago, and that might have had something to do with it. So, coming up for U.S. session, nothing until a speech in 2.5 hours, listed as light impact FOMC member. Three hours, light impact job news. Nothing big today for the U.S. Little of this, little of that. Okay. It's not a news-centric U.S. Open whatsoever. Checking the rest of the week. Nothing major tomorrow. Thursday's the bigger Fed chair speech, high impact. Not much else. No big pound stuff or euro stuff, high impact. Light news week. It's all light stuff except for some U.S. Tomorrow and Thursday. Thursday and Friday. U.S. retail sales Friday is the big one. Okay. Kind of a light news week. That's fine. Things are moving. We don't need news to get things going. To the charts. All right. Let's apply the analysis, see where it goes. The euro's a bit on the low side here. Again, there's a bit of a lot of times we have the U.S. dollar and the yen driving the situation, and we have more correlation than this. This is one of those days where we have a bit of a split. Big up move for the pound, kind of a down move and flat on the euro. Australian dollar is kind of staying on the strong medium side. All right, so let's apply the analysis and we get what we get. Daily chart, euro dollar. So let's mark up levels, see what's going on. Is there a trend or momentum? Well, there was an uptrend, but we're back at a previous low rather than a higher low on this. I want to mark the support. Of course, volume will lead the way. And if you're in an uptrend, as long as you're not seeing high volume weakness, you're going to want to stay with that trend. And we'll see what's going on also down here as far as any buying, if they're showing up or not. Anything else we want to be concerned with? Not really. I mean, we can draw other stuff, but we're not likely to get that today. So we're in an uptrend that's had this pullback over the last 4 days or so. What's going on with this pullback? First thing I want to check is the top area of this move and how much weakness is coming in. I mean, obviously, it's a legitimate move. We'd have to say there is some strong momentum to the downside at the moment, even though there may not be an overall big picture uptrend structure with this low coming to the previous low. But we do have this, and momentum does account for something. We do have a weakness that came in here and really played out with a strong result. And also we have found some buyers here. We can look at that more closely. First thing that comes to mind is if we're able to come down here and see a good amount of volume again, we're likely coming up. So if we get strength into this area, let me check that support, make sure it's really Drawn well. Good morning. Good morning. There's that support. Okay. So we didn't quite get there. I do want to mark it. I know they're very close. This I really don't have to look at up close because it's very high volume on an up move with this reaction that did not bring buyers. We know it's large supply and markdown bearish conditions. Again, since then though, volume leads the way, and here is where we found some decent amount of demand. We wouldn't call it climactic or huge compared to our high volume points, but it certainly showed up, stopped the move, hit some buyers. And let's take a look at that spot more closely. Yesterday off the low. Charts are a little laggy when I stream, but not terrible. A little bit. All right. Yesterday's low. And what I'm looking at is there high volume stopping down moves and showing accumulation at a particular price area. If we look here, obviously this was the lowest point. It has a good amount of volume. It has our classic fake break pattern. So there certainly was some buying into this area. You also have to notice, though, the highest volume here is on this up move in 14 EMA, which, as I explained, is the first test for sellers as you're moving up. As you're trending down and moving up, pulling back a bit, you test for sellers in this area. And here was a lot of selling, a lot of activity to stop that up move and bring it back down. So you have a bit of a mix of buying and selling here, and not so much a clear imbalance where you do have a lot of buying without the selling. So typically, if you're trending down for days and there's still a weakness to this extent, you do not want to consider, and I point that out because it's the highest volume yesterday, you do not want to consider buying if there's this much weakness in a downtrend. But we could be sort of switching over to bullish if we're going to hang out in this area now and see some buying and accumulation in this price area. Again, it's this bigger support back here too, just below us. So if things really turn around with large buying, lack of selling, we could get a bounce off this level, but nothing really convincing yet that I would want to go against this pretty strong move down. So I would say this, if we move down into this area, we would have to see really an imbalance where the buying is large and high volume, stopping the progress in the down moves, showing our strength. And of course, our way of seeing supply needs to be low. Selling needs to be low. And we'll get our imbalance. That would change things. For the moment, though, it's a bit mixed in this area. And again, we saw that jump in sell activity down here. Also today, if we look so far, I'm used to starting at London Open, but there's actually activity for the day to look at. And again, we're looking at the highest volume so far today, coming in as weakness, right? On a fake break. Higher prices tell you about sellers, lower prices tell you about buyers. And that's what we have so far today. So at this point in time, also, if you look at this squash, that was, for the time of day, pretty high volume. And relative to where we are, sort of, off hours, that's a good jump. Again, showing weakness. So the projection is, at the moment, more likely that we will actually break the support and continue down. But if we see, again, high volume strength and really something that really stands out, we see to the left what we would expect for high volume into this area, then that would change things. Otherwise, I would want to stay bearish and look for the sell. Now, where would that be? As some levels to go short. So there are options. So again, to put it simply, if I'm going long, I need a sign of strength from the 1 hour point of view on some very high volume off of this area. And see the imbalance change to high volume buying, low volume selling. So that's if we move down. If we don't see that, it's going to tend to continue, but I don't chase breakouts, so I wouldn't be selling here, right? Okay. So there's a possibility to go long. If it doesn't set up and doesn't happen, then I would let it break out and then go from there, which we could talk about what to do after it breaks. Now, on the other hand, a simple selling during a downtrend when we're still seeing a lot of supply could give us another test of this level high of the day, and a very typical pattern, of course, is the fake break. And maybe we test the 50 EMA here, and we get weakness here. Now, going short in this environment, I would not need the 1 hour high volume, right? I'm going with the background. The background is bearish. We're in a downtrend. Supply is still high. So simply the 5-minute entry being proper is all I need. So that's the difference between the two. Going long, going against the background, we need to see the background change to show high volume demand from a 1 hour point of view. So either way, we may have a trade here, up or down. How's everybody doing? Is that Wyckoff at the bottom? That's him. He's there. Is that Wyckoff at the bottom? It's some strength. I wouldn't call it climactic. And again, we looked at the 5-minute chart and saw that really there's still some very active weakness in this very strong momentum sort of down move here the last few days. So I'm looking to sell into an up move. 5-minute entry as I do it is all I need. Or I can buy here if there is a large 1 hour volume, giving me enough strength to go against this background and have it change to bullish. And again, third option is if it breaks here and there is not large strength coming in, then it stays bearish and I'm looking for weakness to get in. I don't chase the initial breakout. All right, so that kind of sums it up. Right now, we asked the question, where is smart money positioned from? Well, there's a lot of selling here. Big time. And of course, some markdown style selling throughout the trend. What direction? Of course, down. And what are they doing at this moment? Are they taking profit? Are they adding to those positions? Well, there was certainly some demand and profit taking here. So again, that could increase, or it could be lower, giving us a breakout first. Okay, so that should be pretty straightforward. What's up? You're thanking Bitcoin? Okay, good. So it didn't get you. You're good? I'm down so little. It's not even right. I don't even want to talk about it because people are going to think I'm lying. People got their ass handed to them. Bitcoin dropped 10,000 yesterday. I did not get my ass handed to me. I want to go next to the EJ because right now we're in a situation where the currencies are more driving themselves. Euro is doing its euro thing. Pound is doing its pound thing, its up move. And the more usual environment is that there is more correlation, and the dollar and the yen, in these 6 pairs that I trade mainly, are the ones driving things. So right now it's a euro situation. Let's see what the euro yen, again, should be sort of similar. So we're not jumping around situations. And it is similar. So this stuff, right? The high volume weakness, the bit of demand. This is kind of the stuff I'm talking about, right? The fake break that brings it back down. So if I go back to the euro dollar, you see why I'm highlighting this fake break. It's a very common pattern. You see them all the time. Like here's a resistance during the trend, right? And that was a fake breakout. So again, that sort of thing would be ideal if we're shorting. So that was the fake break there. And let's update it. And it would obviously be a fake break would be that. So we do have a very bearish situation on the euro. It is really expected to continue down unless we see high volume from a 1 hour point of view. It is going to continue down. And there's our weakness coming into the 5 minutes just to show that fake break. And they're still doing their thing with the highest volume here. Okay. Not much demand also as well. So really looking like this thing is going to continue down. So again, ideally, we can at least come up here for the short. Pop into here, get our weakness on in a 5-minute setup. We don't need 1 hour confirmation. We're already going with the background. We can also mark up, if not for an entry, at least for information about sellers, this little fib retracement and see what goes on in here. It'll be a little low and a little aggressive. I'll be selling this low, this late. But besides that, it's still good information about what sellers are doing or not doing. As we get into this area, they should kick up their activity. Even if we continue up here. But we'll get a sense of how active they are down here. Hopefully not too active, so they can see them up there and get the short. And I guess we can apply that to the euro dollar as well. That's not what I'm trying to do. And that's supposed to be the high of the day right there. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty straightforward. All right. Again, of course, it would be the same thing where if I was going long, like I said, would need to see that stuff go on. And this is a very key spot to be testing for buyers, as a lot of you know, the 618 overshoot, right? And we're really not seeing it. So the projection is to continue down. Let's get the up move and weakness, see if we can get our way in. Find our way in. So that's the euro situation. Looking quite bearish. Good morning, good morning. What's up in the chat? You sold some at the top. Same. Was thinned out before the drop. Good. I like to hear it. I think after a while, you really get the hang of, simply put, and we'll get to the cryptos, what percentage of your account should be in the market right now, based on what's going on, right? That's the thing. You look at the conditions, you kind of summarize because there's correlation generally. And you look at the conditions and you look at what percentage of my portfolio is in cryptos right now. Is that right? Am I comfortable with that? Up or down? No regrets? Right? That's kind of a thing. You find that comfort zone after a while. You still will have that thought, well, what if it goes up? I don't have enough. And then you go to yourself, well, what if it goes down? Yeah, I think I'll stay right here. That's a good risk amount. You got to plan for anything. Not be greedy and not be afraid. Find that middle spot between greed and fear, right? I also bought a ton on the drop and already sold some off just to cut into my losses, which I made most back on that. We'll get to that. Petefader maneuver. Can you briefly explain where did you start selling Bitcoin? What was the reason? Yeah, we're going to get to Bitcoin. I shouldn't even start talking about it. Where I started. Okay, yeah, we'll do the Bitcoin thing once I go through these. We'll do the cryptos. So euro dollar, we have that situation. The euro yen. Now the pound. It's very similar where we did have the sell activity back here. We had our buying show up here to a certain extent, fairly large, we maybe call it climactic. And now this happened, which could be off the pound news, whatever the reason. And let's see what's going on in here. Again, the pound is just much more bullish than the euro. These are not being driven by the US dollar influence so much, where they're correlated as they usually are. Quite different, as you can see. And again, if you look at the euro pound, that's why this is happening here. It's relative to each other. The euro is very weak and the pound is strong, right? We already knew the euro was weak. Let's see what it looks like today. Some aggressive buying and not much profit taking, which really would show up as weakness into these prices. This is high volume leading to a higher close, and there's certainly an excessive amount of volume on these candles, so there was certainly some selling into here. But we kind of accepted higher prices here. It kind of revealed that they're not all over it in this price area by any means. And it's likely going to continue up until it does hit weakness. Structure is just kind of a mess right now. Is that a 50 fib? Yeah, it is. Didn't quite get there. I'm more just going to mark it as a support. All right. So on this thing, I don't want to go against. Now that you see the downtrend was a little less extreme. Now we're just comparing to the euro dollar versus this US dollar situation. And the result of this demand obviously is quite extreme as well. Pound had some news. Maybe that was the reason. Who cares why? Now, let's mark it up. And now in the pound situation, if I'm going to go long, I wouldn't say it's as extreme as the euro, but I would still like to see a lot of volume on the strength. The euro, I really need to see like climactic volume to go long. This, I still want to see some healthy volume, at least the highest volume of the session so far, which we have a lot of room to still do. See some higher volume today. If we can get that showing demand, this is one area, ideally. It doesn't have to be climactic, but I do want to see an increase in activity, even if it's some big 5-minute spikes, a little, here and there, showing demand coming in the right spots. That's fine. Let's make sure they're active and reaccumulating and buying into a down move. To the left, we are just getting into the price area where there was a lot of selling. So we'll see if that occurs again. So far, not, right? We have low volume and we're hanging out. I forgot to put the indicator on that you gave me, Chad. This shows you my mouse, but I'm not doing this. I got to do that. So there is that. You have a smaller fib. As long as it's a clear swing point and drawing bottom to top, top to bottom, it's a valid fib. And that is totally reasonable that we could just reach that point and see our setup. Again, I don't need huge volume on a 1 hour, but I do want to see activity really pick up for the day if I'm going to be getting long here in one of these spots. But if we go a bit higher, of course, we'll have to adjust this fib. So that's where we are for the moment. Is it worth noting that the highest volume of the session yesterday was buying off the low for GU? Yeah, and that looks like generally a dollar pairs thing. The US dollar. Yep. But, the euro also saw that. And that's bearish. So it's not like that's going to convince me here and not convince me, But the result, the lack of selling that went on into this up move and see this low volume at these high prices, right? It is showing a bit more of an imbalance to the upside, right? And again, this is a price area. Remember, price areas where you do have high volume selling. And if that's not showing up and this is behind you, then we're pretty bullish. We just would like to see that reaccumulation go on. I'll leave that for now because I may have to redraw it. Okay. And I want to do pound and yen next, which, there you go. The mighty pound right now. How's the sound quality? It's like top notch now, right? Like radio DJ. All right. Just want to see what's to the left. Not much until we get there, huh? The old resistance we broke is there. And we're hanging out at high prices without much weakness going on. Quite the bullish situation. So we have resistance turn support. We're talking about areas of possibly looking for the long entry. We have, of course, a fib retracement, which is kind of far away, but not really. Okay. But that would create a failed breakout if we do come back to here. So it's really pointing to, if we come back, plus this fib's going to be wrong if we go higher right now. It's really pointing to this being an important spot and very likely seeing buyers show up at this level if we come back to test it. The old break test continuation. But if we go a bit higher, maybe we'll redraw a fib in there or something. Okay. So it's not the US dollar and the yen driving things, as is typically the case in the market. If you're not following the US dollar and the yen influence on everything else, you're missing a lot. That is normally the case. Today, dollar and the yen are kind of chilling out. In the last couple of days, they're ranging. They're not doing that much. There's an effect on everything, and the euro's weak, the pound is strong, and they get to go off and do their own thing instead of being ruled by the US dollar and yen. More coffee. All right. We're getting through it. What's next? Australian dollar. Very similar to the euro dollar. The analysis is going to be similar. Give me 1 second. All right. Not quite as bearish, obviously, as the euro dollar, but similar. Everybody kind of did this bounce yesterday. We do have a downward structure. It's really seeing what we want to do here. Markup levels, get the information. But I would stay comparing this volume. There's some pretty high volume. Let's see. Let's just take it in. Because again, if you look at the background, basically, there's a pretty decent balance here, right? We have the weakness here, the strength here. They're a little more similar volume-wise, and we're right in the middle between those two spots. Do we get a ton of selling here and expect to come back down? Do we not see the selling, which is key information here, and expect to continue up? So we'll see what's happening in there. A bit of weakness into this area. So, for example, typical pattern would be to get that. If we get some high volume weakness, we really have to wait and see. But going short at the moment off of that with this off the low, not exactly what I'd want to do. Let's get some high volume. It's a quiet day here on these charts. If you look at the volume for today, it's quite low. So the big money, big move has not taken place. Will it? Most likely. What time, these things shift around. What time has the big volume been? 16 GMT. Look at this late stuff. I think starting later is better right now. The market tends to do this stuff. Hang out and do nothing until later on, right? We've seen that. As far as where the big money shows up and does their thing. 16, 17. That's where this buying came in. Here, buying came in. 16, 17, 15, 16, right? Yesterday, 16, and for, that would be another 2 candles. It gives us that, which could be, again, weakness into here, right? And let's see that volume kick up, right? So that's the main thing. Know your background, know where you are, and at this point, we need activity to tell us what they're up to. We could at least say the lack of activity here is showing not much selling going on in this area because that's what it's testing for, but I don't want to read too much into it if it's just kind of slow so far today, right? We've seen about half the volume of potentially, the average, what we're going to get here. So, get into U.S. session, things will pick up and communicate more. So we'll just be prepared and then see what we get. So, AJ, very similar. Not much to say. Selling in this area, buying in this area, quite similar. A little more to the sell side, but let's get some activity and see, are they continuing to sell? This would be an area to tell us. If they're not, then it's likely to continue up, and so on. So that pretty much covers the main pairs here. I would think. I know sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. If you're just kind of joining late for the past 30 minutes or so, we did the analysis on the main 6 pairs that I trade. So if you're just getting in here, you could maybe go back a bit in the stream and be able to see the analysis, right? But if there is a correlated situation, it's obviously that the selling Friday, this is just New Zealand, US, just to show it's pretty much the story anywhere. Selling Friday and then the buying yesterday, limited in size. And we'd have to stay bearish unless we see more demand coming in. Aside from the pound, which is really having a run, and still I'd want to see strength confirm and tell me to go long on that volume picking up today, right? Euro seems pretty weak. We got a pop up in weakness. I'd be looking to short that. You see really the lack of up move after this. Okay, so that's where we are. Was there a buy setup yesterday? Well, the volume was not very high. If you buy setup on the pound yesterday, well, from the 1 hour point of view, okay, it's decent. It's not exactly a downtrend. We just kind of dropped and hit that. Let's see the 5 minute. 5 minute is key. If the volume's not high enough for my liking, but it's high, a very clean 5 minute goes a long way. Really showing the imbalance down there. Did that show up? Yes, it did. Yes, it did, right? We all know this. If you don't know it. Most of you do. There's your fake break. Highest volume of the session off the low. Absolutely, yes. Because this is pretty much as clean as you can get from a 5-minute point of view here, right? The fake break pattern, highest volume of the day off the low, this reaction, and there's your no supply, right? So I understand why you're asking that. And absolutely, yes. If I traded yesterday, I would have gone long, yes. There are other situations where the 1 hour chart and the background is so clear and obvious that the 5-minute doesn't have to be perfect and this great for me to go long. Then you have, again, like I said, where you have a situation where the 5-minute really has to show a pretty extreme imbalance for me to go, in this case, long after such a down move. And yeah, there it is. Very extreme, very extreme. So, correct. And if anyone took that pound long yesterday, let me know. I'm curious. But yeah, before I even clicked on the 5-minute, as I said, if it's really good, then yeah. And man, what an imbalance, right? The huge buying that went on here. And then the 14 EMA test, seeing the lowest volume in hours just after all that volume, the way it dropped off. And that tells us about sellers, tells us about sellers all through this area. So extreme imbalance down there, yes. And that also helps with, kind of staying bullish likely on the pound, unless we really see a reason not to be. And again today, high price is not showing much weakness, so you probably want to stay with that bullish direction. All right, very good. We're live. We're out here. We have good sound. No Borg today. Dr. Phil, if you know, you took the trade. Very good. Always good to hear. I never get tired of it. All right, so we're hanging out. We'll see how things develop. Again, we're in that phase where in an hour or two from now is when we start to see really activity kick up. We have slow starts a lot of the days now until we get into U.S. session. So we're here, we're hanging out. I need to see some activity pick up for the day to show me what the big money is doing. And we'll look at that in context to the background and then see what opportunities we get. Meanwhile, put on some music, roll a doobie. I got to put that indicator on because Chad went through the trouble of making it, and I know I really need to do that. It's going to show you where my mouse is even when I'm not doing this, because a lot of times I just point to things and you're not seeing my mouse. Now, how do you do indicator again? It's been years since I used indicators. I think the bar clock was the last thing I did years ago. Let me go back and get that. It wasn't climactic volume on the 1 hour, but the 5-minute looked really clean. It was the highest volume. I said, yep. I said it before I clicked on it. I said, well, if that 5-minute is really clean, that goes a long way. That's something. There you go. It was probably the best, you can really get on a 5-minute setup with the extreme demand and extreme low supply right after that. So certainly. Good stuff. I'm glad you got it. And what time was that? Again, looking at these times that things really pick up and do their thing. That was 16 again. Yeah, sir. 16:55, 17:20. That's when you get your entry. So yeah, the market's really focused on U.S. Open right now. So we're here. I didn't have to be here at 3 a.m. London Open. I think we're good and prepared now. Didn't miss anything. right, let me get this indicator going. This should be really fun. Not at all fun. All right. So likely I already downloaded it, and it's going to be in my downloads. I don't see it. Oh, all right, let me get it again. Light news day today. All right, let me find this thingy. All right, there it is. Mr. Mang demo account. Yes, I prefer to use MT4 for charting, but I don't trade on MT4. Also, for volume feed, it's good to be able to pick which broker you want. I actually trade on my phone. And we're out here trading demo money, that's all. Monopoly money. All right, let me see. So I'm going to grab that indicator, put it on the desktop, and go to my MT4. I think it's a little different from how I used to do it on PC. I don't know. What do you do again? I forgot. You got to go to some folder. Such a pain in the ass. Can I just drag the indicator into this window? Would that work? It doesn't work like that, Pete. What do I do again? I'm a proud noob. Oh, I have to go to File. I know. File, Open Data Folder, right? No, that's not it. I really forgot how to do it. No help, huh? What is that thing? What did I just push? I can't even see it. Oh my gosh, it's Meta Editor. I think that's what I want. Indicators. No, not exactly. Chad, that doesn't help. What do I do? I forgot. I haven't used indicators since 2009. Open data file copy. Oh, file, open data folder. Okay. Right. I can close the meta editor. Okay. Right. And then copy file indicator here, and then real. Oh, you do like a copy paste. Okay. In the data folder itself. MQ in this indicators. Ah, there. All right, we're getting there. Nope, it doesn't want to go. Copy, paste. Doesn't want to go. I did something wrong. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. It's worth it. We got time anyway. Setups are coming, most likely. U.S. Open. All right, so I want to go back to that. Is that right or no? Can you guys see it? Yeah, okay. Am I going to data folder? Right? File. Open data folder. Is that correct? When I used to use indicators, I was on PC and it was different because I would just go through some folders and get the indicators folder and just drop it in there. I don't know where the heck that is on here, so I'm trying to go through the platform. MQ4, okay, right. Indicators. Now I should be able to put it in here. I don't know if you can see this other window right now, but maybe not. Yeah, it should appear in the list, but it's not in there yet. When I drag it over, it doesn't do anything. I'm in the Wine Explorer. I don't know what that means, but I'm in an indicators folder where I see all my indicators, and then I'm dragging it in and nothing happens. It doesn't want to go in. Location. MQL4, right? Click on it, and I can't get into anything in that. Click on indicators. I can't get it to drag into that. Nothing happens. It doesn't accept it. All right, I'm going to give up. I went to MQL4 indicators, and it won't let me drag anything into it. It won't let me paste anything into it. It's like a locked folder. It doesn't want to do anything. Should I go to libraries? Is that going to let me do it? No. Oh my gosh. I give up. Yep. That's really fine. I'll make sure I do my crosshair when I'm pointing to something for the moment, because I don't freaking know. there. All right. 8 a.m. We know what we're looking for. We'd like to see volume increase for the day. It's been really quiet. We got our spots marked for potential trades. We know our background. So on the cryptos, I guess that was a good time. Let's take a look. Get the chart up here. We'll take a look at the cryptos. I'll show you the petefader maneuver, which is risky, but it worked because I've been doing this a while. I actually flew into an asteroid field. What? All right, so let me get it so you can see it. Silver, I do not trade. John says silver looking good on the 1 hour. Window capture. Window capture. There it is. Now, where'd my MT4 go? All right, anyway. You should all be seeing the crypto chart, correct? All right. So let's see what we're looking at. You should all be seeing this Bitcoin chart. Okay. Well, look at all that buying. What do you know? Goes up and down. 100 EMA 4 hour. Fake break pattern. Low and a fake break. So at what point, first of all, did it confirm they can do some buying here, right? There. Certainly by the time this closed. If not sooner, but depends how aggressive, right? And I did buy at this point, and I bought very large. I have since closed a good amount of that. It's a little outside of the regular instructions. Don't try this at home. But obviously we were due for some sort of down move and buy opportunity, right? This is long uptrend here. So I did start to, now I am holding still some of what I bought down there, but ready for anything. But there was the buy opportunity. And again, I think it was it Link and or Litecoin, I get them mixed up, and Bitcoin that I bought pretty large yesterday to get back a lot of the loss, which wasn't huge, it wasn't terrible, and I would have lived with it. Percentage-wise, it was fine. I'm still up for the month, but I wanted to cut into that, and I did by going large on this move. Now, let's show the smaller time frame, what I was looking at. It was kind of a scalp, in a way, whatever you want to call it, a 5-minute deal, but I had good reason. And maybe you saw the stuff in... So it was about 11 o'clock for me yesterday. This is actually correct time, my time. Here it is. All right, good. 11:45. So this low, right? See the buying here. Now there's buying on the way down, buying on the way down. And if you look at it, right, that's the first really big thing to see here, right? It's not some, it's crashing, it's the end of the world. There's so much buying into this down move, right? And I customized this indicator to really show us at a glance, right? Now, if this wasn't showing up, and in combination with weakness coming in, you guys can see the chart, right? Then that would be different. But there's huge buying, and what do I always say? New low ground is going to tell you about buyers, especially, more than anything. Fib retracements as well. If you have this up move here, there's your fib retracement. But here's our low at this point, for example. New low ground tells you about buyers. Very active. Now there's your support going forward. New low ground here. Very active. So even in a very strong downtrend, you can get these little fake breaks, little up moves, and then continue. At this point, again, now this one did a really quick fake break. So I went in pretty large here in this area. And I guess you could call it more of a day trade, which I rarely do. I'm really just swing trading. Now, I don't know if I should be even getting into all this. Learning the method that I teach, that my course teaches, don't worry about this right now. But for those of you who know and day trade and everything, you understand why I went long there. And no regrets. I decided to go large. If, and I mean large, and if I had seen this continue to break, I will just get out, and that's okay. I'm getting in here, large, and if it breaks beyond the fake break here, then I'm out. So I wasn't really risking very much, right? But what it really did was cut into, again, the loss, and I ended up about under about 1.8, 1.9% down for the day yesterday, and still being profitable for the month of January so far. And I think the majority of traders, especially the hodled, especially the buy and hold people, and the people that have just gotten into it because it's in the news and it's taken off, they lost their shit yesterday. I mean, Bitcoin dropped 10,000. So, biggest one-day drop ever, right? It used to be at 9,000. That used to be the whole 10,000. That used to be the whole value of the thing. It dropped that in one day. So, for me to be down 1.8% is a win. Win. That's fine. I'm up for the month of January, and all I do is buy. I don't sell. And I think that's some elite shit right there, right? So I'm happy. I told my wife, I'm down under 2% today, the biggest drop in history. It's like I passed the test. Nothing's going to get me now. I've been doing this too long. But, aside from the swing trade, just to point out, we all know this pattern, right? And why I went long here, right? Not a mystery, right? Okay. And why I went big and said, okay, if it doesn't do it, I'm just going to get out right here. And it went enough. And also I did another, I think it was Litecoin. I did the same. So anyway, just to talk about how I handled that yesterday. Of course, I was pretty thinned out where we had been in an uptrend for a while. I'm just taking profit. I hadn't even been selling off that much. I just been kind of pulling out the profit. But also, like I always say, a good thing to think of it is, the way to think of it is that the chart situation should match the amount of money you have in your portfolio in the market. and if you learn the method correctly, after a while you get to judge, I have, only 20% of my account in the market right now because of this or that, or I have, 50% or 60% of my account in the market right now because of this or that. And so after I had made back most of what I had lost in the down move, the $10,000 drop, I made a lot of it back here. And I said, that's cool. I'm going to go back to my usual. I'm really going to actually chill out and see where things are going to go. Of course, I still have long, I still own Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Link, XLM, Algo, mainly those. But I chilled it out to some regular levels, and I want to see what's going on. I'm ready for anything again. Always be ready for anything. If it wants to drop again, I'm ready for it. That's fine. If it wants to start trending up from here, I'm good with what I have for the moment. It's not a lot. Maybe maybe we'll see an opportunity if I go back to the regular 4-hour overview, which is really good, just to see everything. That's home base for me. The way these things go. If it's not ready to do it, we could end up here with a fake break. Just talk about, being ready for anything. I'm ready for that. That's fine. If it wants to do another leg down, I'm good with that. If it wants to go to 20, 25, 24, right? You can't rule these things out. Anything's possible, especially after you saw what happened yesterday. It's record-breaking shit. That's where we are right now. And if that happens, I'm ready for it. So I'm back to sort of a good conservative situation right now. Any questions? No, that's where I am. Cryptos have been absolutely too generous. And to get through that $10,000 drop the way I did, it's good. It's very good. And I hope you all handle things correctly. So we'll see where we go from here. If we go lower, I'll be looking to buy more. If we move up, I will be looking obviously into the recent highs and past fib areas to tell me what sell activity is up to. And in this case, we already visited the fib retracement of the down move, the doom move, which wasn't so doom after all. And our fib is going to show us sell activity, which is quite low. So I think it was a big kick out all the people who had over committed, who were freaked out and sold off, people who had just gotten into cryptos in the last few weeks. All those people got their ass handed to them. Dude, I thought you said it was just going up. I lost everything. So that's the thing about charts. It goes up and down and up, both directions. But it's nice to see this fib area tested and to not see the really any supply coming in. If sellers were really active and this thing was going to continue to be bearish, we would very likely see the high volume weakness coming in here. It's not really there. And again, look how clear that accumulation into this down move is. I mean, it was just a big discount, wasn't it? All the way down. So I typically, like I always say, when you have down moves that are clearly bought into this much, that's when you're likely to reverse it very quickly and just go up the other, reverse it all soon. But of course, ready for anything. Can you explain where you started to sell and the? Well, we'd already been in an uptrend for a while, so there's that. The plan for selling off into higher prices that was already there in along with the chart. So I was sitting on whatever I was sitting on. It wasn't huge at that point. late in an uptrend, you're going to be thinned out. So if there's not weakness, there's not weakness. That's all right. And if as you're saying, and which is true, you didn't spot much weakness. It was a big old maneuver. Weakness meaning you didn't see them get out of the market, right? High volume weakness into high prices, and they're dumping it. Oh man, we're looking bearish. None of that went on. It just dropped insanely, and that drop was bought up. It was like Black Friday. That's it, right? We'll be back. 40, 50. We'll be back. Now, there was reasons in the news why this happened. I don't pay attention to that. I saw it in passing. I don't care. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of profit taking. There wasn't a let's get out of this thing because it's tanking and so on. The activity took place from the big money buying into this sell-off, whatever reason. Some suckers sold off. I don't know why. They can create the stuff themselves, You start a down move, and the rest takes care of itself. When people start jumping ship, and when they sell off, you can buy from them. Checkmate, right? It's not hard to do. You have enough money, you can do it. And especially on the smaller ones, a single person can be changing these charts and getting what they want to happen. It could have been an organized effort to do this so they could buy more lower. This triggered a lot of sell-offs, right? I'll take that from you. All right. Chris says extremely big supply coming in on Bitcoin. I beg to differ. Well, obviously there was a big sell-off in that supply, but if we're talking about the pre-positioning of smart money, let's say, call it the big money, whatever they're doing, what they did was buy very large into the panic. That's what I'm seeing from the chart. If we're talking about daily chart, you're zooming out and getting less detail than I'm using right now. So I'd rather be in there and kind of see more detail. If I go to the daily chart, we have extremely high volume activity, and we closed up here. So this was at one point a big red candle, and what caused it to be able to move up like this? The buying into that down move. It lost 60% of its progress by the end of the day due to all that buying. And again, the smaller time frames show it. Is it valid to have drawn an automatic support at the high and once it closed below? Automatic support? Well, if there wasn't weakness, then you don't really have that. Your volume chart is different. You need to find the reason. Well, this is Coinbase. This is versus the US dollar. Are you in a different country? But as far as the question, automatic support, I'm not drawing automatic support if I don't have weakness. You said yourself there was no weakness, right? So that's not there in the pattern, then I wouldn't do it. All right, so we go back to the Forex. So at this point, and we were doing the crypto classes on a regular basis, and I started doing it now and then. I think this kind of covers it as far as what I'm looking to do, what I've been doing. Again, I'm moderate risk at this point where I can look to buy more. I'm not assuming this is over and it's going to go in a straight line. I'm ready for anything, as usual. But I listen to the chart, and I follow my plan. And I'm able to buy plenty more if it wants to come down. If it wants to do another leg down, I'm prepared for anything. There's no hoping this or that's going to happen. It's whatever happens is fine, right? But I told you we'd get back to the 100 EMA pretty soon, and there it is, because things go up and down and up and down. Not just up, not just down. And after a while, you trade enough, you look at these down moves on the cryptos, and you go, oh, good, I can buy, because it's going to go up, because after it goes down, it goes up, because that's how it goes up and down, right? Okay. In the moment of the panic, people tend to forget. Seen it enough times. Stop it. Oh, stop it. All right, back to MT4. Is it just showing whatever I put on my... Oh, okay. It's just screen sharing. All right, that's easy. Okay, so we're back on MT4 now. Any developments? Again, we're just kind of now, maybe in half an hour, getting to, or another hour after that even, but maybe I'll hang out and see, getting to, the point in the day where things are picking up activity-wise. It's U.S. session focused right now, if you see when all that the high activity tends to take place. So it's quiet for the day, but it's very obviously likely to pick up, and then we can see what they're up to and what we might want to do. So just to kind of review, euro dollar. Euro is pretty weak at the moment. If we get climactic or very high strength here, I would consider buying. Otherwise, I wouldn't. I'd let it break out and then go from there. If we can pop up here and get weakness, I'd be looking to short. That applies to EJ as well. Same. Again, it's not US dollar yen driven so much today. Every currency is driving its own car. Pound with its up move. Simply looking for a sign of strength to buy on that. There hasn't been any serious weakness on this up move. Accepting these higher prices. So any sort of drop in strength, it doesn't even necessarily have to be here. If it's really great, it could be a fake break of this on some high volume strength. But these fib spots are very trustworthy when they set up right. We'll see how it goes. So that's the pound situation. Again, that's the pound situation. Accepting these higher prices on low volume while you're trending up is all you need to know. You want to stay long. They're still in these long positions. They're holding. They're in it. And either they're going to be starting to get out into up moves or starting to buy more into down moves. We're not getting out into up moves, but still we would need the down moves and the strength. Because things zigzag. They don't go in a straight line. They go up and down and up. Most important lesson. Now this guy, Australian dollar, US, is really a wait and see situation if we can test some levels. And this is all kind of a wait and see situation. It's not like, all right, I'm looking for this. This would be the best trade today. I want this. And maybe that 1 second. It's more, let's move around and see. Obviously, buying the pound would be nice on the down move in strength. So maybe selling the euro on an up move in weakness. They're likely not both going to set up. It's one or the other. But again, when that high volume kicks in for today, which hasn't come yet at all, then we'll have some new information and see what's going on. That's the key right now. So I don't even know why that's marked. It's really just a possibility. Let's just move around and find out. Mark up our levels. You're still seeing... Oh, that's weird. Okay, let me try to fix that. Because if I go to OBS... Oh, okay. This should do it. Why is it not? Oh, it's locked? Why is it locked? How about now? What? No. Why are you not doing it? Let me add another one. Add... Okay, so now you should be seeing the MT4 chart, right? I'm still getting used to these things. I don't know. It's weird. The setup I create to share my different things doesn't stay that way. When I reopen things, it doesn't recognize, yeah, that's the thing I was sharing before. I share it again. I have to like reassign it. But right now you should be seeing, okay, good, thank you. Antonio thinks the pound is set to fake out and will drop. Let's go back to that. As in fake out, up move, fake break, up move, and then drop. And I get my, oh, we're getting laggy right now. Let me close. Other stuff here. Fake break and drop? Well, maybe. It's possible. If there's a lot of volume on that. If you're talking about a fake break up there into new high ground, and the volume is high, and that's our high volume for the day, you know, starting to finally come in. That's fine. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, when volume picks up, we'll see what it is. It could very well be that. But that's just assuming, you know, we're kind of accepting this area. We haven't seen much weakness yet. Yeah, we'll take it as it comes. That's possible, though. It's a little bit laggy when I stream. This really shouldn't be. 16 gig of RAM on this computer. It should be enough for a stream and a chart. I think I need to update my operating system. It's been a few years. I hate updates. That's why I haven't done it. All of a sudden things aren't compatible. It's like everything's working. Just leave it alone. But now I'm at the point where I have to update this thing. So I can get new software and stuff because it's not compatible. I know somebody who's into updates. It's an update, he's got to do it. Yeah, then he's spending the rest of the night trying to figure out why shit isn't working and how, you need a driver now. Oh, you need to update this. When things work, leave it alone. All right. So we're chilling. We need things to pick up. Sound quality should be really good, right? I got compression, EQ, noise gate. Tweaked it last night. All right, so we'll give it some time. I shall be back. All right, wait for U.S. session things to pick up. It's been slow today, volume-wise. Let's see when it picks up what we're going to get. If you are new, welcome. There is the website I just typed in the chat. That is my website. Got some courses. I used to do, up until the end of last year, not too long ago, subscription-based payments for this live analysis. But it's free now. You know why it's free? Because if I don't want to show up and I want to stay in bed, I can do that. No, that's not why. That's not why. I'm doing it for karma. You know, considering the time of day that things are picking up, maybe I should start a little later. I started at 7 New York time. Maybe I'll start at 8, 8:30, like now. Just kind of get prepared, and then U.S. Open. we'll get the action. So maybe start like an hour later on Thursday. But I'll send an email out. So yeah, there's the website I typed there in the chat. You can go there, and the subscription box, not the forum for questions, but the subscription box is where you want to put your email, and then you'll find out when these streams are going to be before they happen. This typically is going to be Tuesday and Thursday. But I think maybe start an hour later on Thursday. Hour later from now on. So the action is coming. We're just waiting for the activity to pick up. It's been a little later in the session into US Open, so we're getting there. Right now we're just hanging out. Did our analysis, ready to go. Let's see if I could put some music low in the background just so you know, like the sound didn't cut off. I'm still here. Did it last time, and then today I did it. It's not going through. Let me see. Did we get the sound? Oh. Well, that must be it. No, didn't work. I don't know. Half of this shit is just still a mystery to me. Last time I got my iTunes to play nicely through the stream, and now it's just not doing it. Picking the input. All right, so I planned on 2 hours, but I'll probably stay longer because we're just waiting for things to pick up. Slow start today. You see the volume's very low. But we're good and prepared when it does pick up. See what we get.
Oh, take a look at me.
Oh, it worked. Valerie Nichols. Wow, it's been a while. How are you? Yeah, I guess so. That's when the moves are happening. And also, I had like insomnia trying to sleep like during the break. My body finally fixed itself, and I'm on a regular human being schedule now. So, yeah, being up at 3 a.m. Kind of over that. Tired of being tired. So yeah, that's the plan for now. But any changes you'll know as long as you're subscribed to the email list on the website. I may start an hour later on Thursday than I did today. Try to time it really where, we're here maybe 30 minutes before anything major happens and when things really pick up. If we look back, it's a really U.S. session. Things jump. It's really quiet before then as far as volume, so makes sense. You can't hear my voice, right? Did I mess up my audio? You should be hearing me talking with some low music in the background. Is that the case, everybody? Oh, you heard me. Okay. You couldn't do London. Oh, okay. Yeah, I figure this is going to be better for a lot of people. I mean, 3 a.m. is just crazy. For other countries, it's fine, but in the U.S., that's tough. So that's good. I like the idea. I liked in the past the idea of getting on at London Open and just kind of taking my time. And if there's a setup before U.S. session, which often there is something you could pull out. Maybe it's not the setup of the day you're really looking for, or maybe it is, but I don't feel like I'm going to miss too much by doing this now. right, the Australian dollar coming down. And we'll see how it reacts to some of these areas. Again, there was decent strength off the low yesterday. We kind of, that similar situation we have everywhere. But Friday was a lot of weakness. And we're kind of in the middle of that. So let's see what it might want to do. Most recently, there is strength in the background, but let's see if we can, again, show some accumulation strength on this down move and really back that up. Yeah, that was a Blondie cover that I did with somebody. I did all the music, and that was somebody I work with singing. Just threw it together in a few hours. It was fun. I checked out the HSCC mix you made for the competition you won. It was cool. Thanks for checking it out. Yep. Wild. That video's going to end up with maybe 100,000 views or more. They have some videos that have millions of views. Well, that's fun. All right, let's see what's happening with this down move here on the Australian dollar. If we're going to hit strength. So laggy. Come on, stop it. So again, in this situation, I was looking at it because we're coming down. We had strength off the low yesterday in the background. And really not much as far as weakness coming into these up moves. Now we can get a reaccumulation strength situation go on here. And again, we haven't seen much activity for the day, so that could all come together. And see buying through here and look for that long entry, right? Now these are some potential areas where that could happen. These are areas that are going to tell us about buy activity. And if it doesn't show up, we could be headed back down to the support where we would end up for the buy. But I do want to stick with that direction since that is our recent activity. Unless our high activity today shows something else. We will see. But potential for the long if we can get strength popping up here. Euro dollar still kind of stuck. Pound stuck. Sitting around the high, which is a very bullish situation. Yeah, when's the interview? As soon as they get back to my email asking them when are we doing this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little concerned about the lack of response. I shared on Facebook and this and that. They responded, and they said great job and all this. We've been in communication besides the email. So I sent an email. I said, okay, I just have some questions about what you want to do. I'm available to do the interview anytime you want, afternoon, evening, New York time, whatever. And then I emailed again, just making sure you got my email. Yeah. And also they want me to make a video showing my process of mixing the song. So again, my second email, I'm like, how long do you want that to be? Like 20 minutes, or how long do you want that to be? I could do it in 5 minutes, or I could do it in like an hour, or anywhere in between to go over what I did to mix the song. Yeah, so again, no answer for the email, which makes me now really not want to do it. Like, I feel like I'm going to do this video showing my mix and send it to them, and I'll never hear from them, and it'll be a waste of time. So now I'm a little concerned that they're not even emailing me back. I'm just going to leave it. Either they write me back or they don't. That's fine. They don't owe me anything. Well, actually, I gave them a free mix. They kind of do. No, they don't owe me anything. That's fine. I only spent 12 hours on that thing. No big deal. That's all right. It wasn't just a regular mix. It was a competition mix. You got to go the extra mile. You got to automate the vocal to get rid of the bleed in between every single line. Tedious stuff. All right, so hopefully the music's not annoying. It just kind of, if I'm quiet for a while, it says I'm still here. I can lower it more. It means nothing serious is going on at the moment. That's what the music means. I'm not about to get into a trade. Chill mode on. Engage. Looks like really the only thing moving right now is, the Australian dollar. And luckily, if we're bullish, moving down is what we want, and we want to see. Everything else is kind of stuck, flat, quiet, but we'll see what this thing wants to do. They're both at a 618 overshoot spot. Yeah, we drew up a few fibs. That's checkpoints for buyers. The volume is decent. But as I like to do sometimes, let's zoom out and compare our volume. Oh, it's very low. We do that. Doesn't mean it's absolutely wrong to take a trade with volume like this. But, it's pretty inevitable that it's going to pick up. And when it does, it could redefine things and set, the direction going forward and everything. But if I take a trade in this situation, just as far as what I do, where we haven't seen much volume for the day, but I see something decent setting up, I'll put a small risk. That's all. Which I did last week on a AJ long situation. It was exactly that. Where it was setting up, but we really didn't get that much for the day. But it was technically a proper setup besides that, so I just went small risk. No regrets. It was a win. But it's all about the no regrets, right? Everybody knows that one. No matter what happens, you're not going to look back and go, I should have not done that. I should have done something else. It is possible to be okay with whatever the outcome is when you plan for everything and be okay with it. Listen to the chart. Can't regret listening to the chart, right? That's all you got. Not the news. Look at that. So we are seeing, obviously, some increase in volume here. But we can get a really big spike relative to what we've seen today, because it's really actually just very small today. And that'll really key us into what's happening. Everybody else is kind of waiting, right? Yeah. What do I play here? Oh, I can't play anything copyrighted. Gotta remember that. I gotta stick to stuff I recorded. I don't get a copyright strike, and then certain people in certain countries, and I'm gonna be, they'll take the video down. So I have to be careful what I play. They freaking block you for happy birthday out here. I play the contest mix. No, I can't do that. That's a Steely Dan song. Francesco, how are you? Hi, Pete. Thank you for your videos. You're very welcome. So, do you always wait for price to retrace 5618? No, that's not a requirement. It just happens a lot. On the 1 hour, 4 hour time frame to start considering entries. No. Do you apply the same on lower time frames? Lower time frames, you can draw. You know, it's kind of, if you summarize it into two things, which is really the 1 hour. I mean, I look at the larger charts before when I do my initial analysis, but really it comes down to the 1 hour and the 5 minute. So if you're talking about entries, fibs do work on 5 minute charts, and along with the simple moving averages and support resistance, and knowing that what those areas mean, what they're testing for, and that helps pinpoint the entries and the imbalances. The imbalance you want to see for the entry. A fib can be helpful with that. But when we're looking at the larger time frame, nice volume on it. Okay. We look at the larger time frame, the fibs, the moving average, which is really like a support, the 50 and the 14 exponential moving average, the fib areas, and the resistance turn support after break, support turn resistance. Not really that much. And price areas where things on high volume and things of importance had went on before, and visiting these price areas gives you the information. But yeah, that fib area is just very common. It's not like I need that for the trade. It just happens a lot. The 1 minute, let's see. We can look at the 1 minute chart. We're allowed because it's about price areas, not time frames. And there it is. Very nice. Buyers showing up. Yeah, the 5 minute finally is kicking up too now. I want to check the dollar yen and see what might be better to buy against if this thing comes around. Which for the moment is kind of just flat. It doesn't matter. Okay. So let's look at this and clean it up. $9 a.m. in New York. So we don't need that fib. Things getting more and more laggy. Yeah, it's getting really laggy now. Close iTunes. Close. I can't close that. Okay. So again, with the Australian dollar situation, our most recent information is the buying off the low yesterday. Not much selling, profit-taking, supply, weakness, whatever you want to call it, happening into these up moves. So we want to stay bullish and see if they buy in key areas that could lead to a setup. So we could very easily end up doing this. If we're seeing overwhelming demand, lack of supply here. At least go back to the top, which for the day would be something decent, at least. We don't have to do all that, but is this going to move? Is this going to work? Okay. Things are going to start picking up now. And we'll see what it's telling us. For this is what we wanted to see. It's a good start. Again, with the pound, I wouldn't want to do anything up in this price area. We really need to start moving. We've been here for like 5 hours hanging out up here. If we can pull back and see strength, or move up and see climactic weakness, see something go on, we need to get out of this price area. So, is it the highest volume of the session? Let's pick one for now. They're very similar. Pick the AJ for the moment. So that is the highest volume of the session. And now we can look at the result, which is going to close in 30 seconds. I suppose we're done with that, the fib. So we're really popped into that, which is off of yesterday's low, which I like. Okay, good. Drawing the fib from yesterday's low to today's high is how we got that. So that's nice and obvious and clean. The more obvious the fib, the better. We don't want to be picking random spots. So if we have, increased volume in this area generally, as most of you know, that's going to be making it more likely to bounce and continue up off of this area. And of course, that's how we started, so it's a good start. It doesn't mean we have to confirm strength right away, right? And again, as somebody pointed out, the 1 minute is very high into that price area, so there's your, really precise read. And once you pop in there on the activity, It's all about price areas, not time frames, right? So 1 minute detail shows us that reaction to an area we already had marked. And that's fine if they want to keep buying on the way down into this. It can go down to a 618 overshoot. So basically down to 80.20. So that's only 10 pips. So that 10 pip range to make sure we're seeing strength. And then, of course, followed by lack of supply, we could get a long entry. I get a lot of trades on the Australian dollar. Australian dollar and, of course, euro dollar. Pound, not as much. As I've said, there's been plenty of times where there's just not much going on except clean setups on the Australian dollar, right? Some of you know that. Sometimes that's the one just handing out clean setups for a while everything else is a little messy. It's a friendly pair. Predictable. AUAJ. It's not really that often we say, oh, the Australian dollar is a mess right now. It doesn't really get so messy, right? I won the mixed contest in Australia. I like Australia. All right, so that's 2 hours, but I'm going to hang out longer than 2 hours to see if we get something going on. At least another half hour to see that activity pick up and what it's telling us. Maybe get a trade entry. And again, Thursday I might start an hour later, so we're not here so early before activity picks up, because it's tending to really not happen until U.S. session again, which it likes to do a lot. Okay, so we're going to get some big volume here. How do I know? Because I have a bar clock and there's still a minute left. But it's not still in that area. It got popped out. That's where really the activity is. But again, you see lower prices tell you about buyers, and these fib areas and test areas in general tell us about buyers and sellers. So there it is again on the 1 minute chart, right? And when the lower price comes in, the buyers show up. So they are officially accumulating in this zone. We back out. How much is that on the 1 minute? It's the highest volume of the session. Besides this weirdness which goes on this time of day, don't ask. I think it's a broker thing. I don't know if it's even real. I don't trust it at all. So, but of the regular session since London Open, we have the highest volume on the 1 minute. As we go into lower prices into this area, right? Very, very textbook stuff. Exactly what we would expect if we were going to be bullish and see buyers here and go along with the obvious situation here. There it is on the 5 minute. Highest of the session. Let's look around. Of course, AU looks similar, I'm sure. There it is. Let's see if we can confirm strength with a close up here on the 5 minute, 4.5 minutes here. Generally, are we picking up in volume? Let's see. Yes, we are. This I wouldn't want to be buying here. I would want to see lower prices. It does have a bit of weakness nearby. I do like the Australian dollar better than buying the euro today, that's for sure. unless something really changes. But yeah, you see the EJ is just choppy, sloppy range. If it turns out to be a shorting situation, US dollar yen strength, and things are moving down against it, then I would consider the euro more. But for buying, euro is not my first choice. And again, the pound, if it's just sitting in this area where it's been for hours, I'm not going to do anything in this price area. There's really no high probability outcome. So here we are, Australian dollar. We could focus on it. Once again, Australian dollar, very friendly. So, facts, the buyers are there, right? We just got to make sure the sellers are not there. And then we have a high probability of an up move, and I will be going long. Perfect start, right? Perfect start. Again, I was like, at least let's get, the highest volume of the session if we're going to get into a trade, because we've seen low volume today so far. We got to outdo that. So it's coming now. So at this point, if we move down any lower, we want to continue to see that there's buy activity, as we're seeing, into these areas up to the overshoot of the zone just below it. It's important to see that. And if we move up, then of course we get to test for supply. Higher prices will tell you about sellers. The 14 EMA is key. It's a bit far away, but it'll get pulled down as we sit here. But we could pop up to it and test it. So, the no supply sort of low volume test for sellers situation. And it's typically the 14 EMA that you run into first, and it's very dependable. We'll see what we get off of that. We looked at that setup earlier off the GU. If you look at the 5-minute, I'm so laggy, I don't even want to do it right now. But if you look at the pound dollar yesterday on the 5-minute off the low, as somebody pointed out, that's a good example of high volume strength. And then quickly after that, very low volume supply, and seeing the imbalance before the up move. So if you look at that yesterday, that's the kind of thing we're looking for. That was pretty textbook. 5-minute. Canadian dollar, I don't really watch. Take a look at it. Well, again, it's a similar situation. We have strength, weakness, and we're somewhere in the middle, but most recently weakness. And it does look kind of like the same thing in reverse. Here you do have selling coming into the up move on a fake break pattern. So that's not a bad start. I don't think the area is as good. Well, I guess it's a fib. I guess it's as good as the Australian dollar. Yeah, 618 overshoot. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. No large strength off the low. If the 5-minute is clean here, yeah, that's fine. And it's dollar, it's the base pair. Is that what you call it? The base pair is Canadian dollar. So it's like flipping this chart upside down. It's the inverse. So the US dollar is having some effect on it. But I also like that the Australian dollar seems to be very strong. They're both doing this actually against the yen as well. So this must be pretty flat. Yeah. Sometimes with these trades, and it happened last week with me, it's hard to decide which one. when they both set up. And how I decide is whatever one is technically better, because they could be very similar like this. Technically, what's better? Or again, if you look at the UJ, which one, dollar or the yen, looks like it's weaker going forward, because that's the one you would want to buy against. But again, it's very flat right now, dollar and the yen. So kind of doesn't matter. These two are likely to keep doing the same thing here. All right, so we get our high volume test in the area we're looking for demand. That showed up. It's a good start to the setup. Now we have to see lack of supply on this up move. Lower prices in this are going to be telling us about buyers. Higher price is going to be telling us about sellers. We want high volume buying, low volume selling, and we have a high probability of an up move. Stop loss in this situation, typically, as I do, is allowing for this, because this whole area is the, demand reaccumulation sort of stuff, as I say, down to the fake breakout of 618. So basically that gives us, down to here, allowing for an overshoot, 19, 18. And I just want to get my stop loss beyond that. So 15, for example. So we're in the, whatever, 25 pip stop range, give or take. Risk reward is already built into these things. It's a retracement. And again here, so the overshoot, so I want my stop out of the way of all that stuff. So again here, maybe 88, 87, right? So getting to that test area very close is pretty fine-tuned, accurate stuff that we want to test that 14, really make sure we hit it and see what the reaction is. For example, things that can happen in this situation is, if we see very low volume and we sit here on low volume, that's showing lack of supply, that's showing the imbalance. Sometimes you can see a volume spike and a rejection, and then come back down and maybe do a fake breakout, and then the setup, right? Do the overshoot, double bottom. So here we are. We'll get a read on selling right now. So the lower the volume, the better. And we got to this point basically the last minute and a half of this candle. So keeping that in mind, we can look at the 1 minute now that we're here, right? And if we see volume dropping off, that would be the best piece of information here, volume dropping off. High volume off the low, showing demand. Low volume off of the test of the higher price, 14 EMA. So if sellers are active, they're going to show up here, right? That sort of thing. We'll get a read on it. Yeah, a touch of activity, not much. Let's see what we get here. So normally I do this for 2 hours, but I'm hanging out a little longer to see if we get this set up. Or at least I'll leave you with a good plan once we see a little bit more. If I don't actually get in it here. But if I get into a trade, I will let you know. You're asking about AU yesterday. So laggy. No, absolutely, I would not take that trade. As you said, the supply is high. Going forward, yeah, you see that it did disappear. You see that it did continue. But yeah, I mean, the pound didn't have that issue. That would make me really hesitate to get in. For me, I would look elsewhere. Highest volume of the day showing supply. Luckily they didn't show up again here. But generally, there's a mix of buying and selling in this whole area. Not quite an imbalance. Certainly there was large buying. But the imbalance showed up. But, the pound was cleaner, like you said. And again, if we're talking about moving down, and then going long off a sort of a downtrend momentum, high volume 1 hour, unless the 5 minute is really clean. 5 minute really clean? No. Pound was, though. Could you let us know the broker that provides your demo volume? The 5 minute volume AU now looks really clean on your chart. John, how are you? Yeah, this is, you don't see it. It says at the top, Forex. It's Forex.com. That's why it says Forex there. So yeah, in case you're new here and wondering, hey, this guy's using demo charts, man. What the hell? So yeah, number one, the reason why is you want a good volume feed. And some brokers are better than others. And sometimes you get funny business and you want to switch. And there is no absolute volume in spot Forex. So you need a broker that's going to represent the market as a whole best. And things tend to change over time. So I try to keep up with the best one. I usually end up switching every 2 months, 3 months. And then go back and then whatever. Also, I have TradingView, which if I wasn't streaming, I could easily click through without lag and check other brokers, Owanda and FXCM volume. And I could always check that again alongside my MT4, and then I get 3 or 4 different brokers I could look at if I think there's any funny business. Also, I don't like trading on MT4. Typically, the platforms provided by the broker are quicker and better and less issues getting in and out of trades and all that, as you might have noticed. But charting on MT4, I like the best. But yeah, I've seen it happen once or twice on my YouTube videos. Hey, this guy's trading a demo account. What? Like you can chart on one thing and then trade on your actual account. Like that's what, are you aware of that? Yeah. Okay. Sometimes people pay for third party, e-signal or something, right? And you get fancy chart stuff, And then you go to your broker and you take the trade. Yeah, you can do that. And I trade on my phone now pretty much exclusively. I don't really use the platform on the computer anymore. Just because I need to when I'm not on the computer, so I might as well just be used to it and have my one place where I do my trades, and that's now on my phone. Of course, I could always go on the computer if I need to. Testing for sellers. The lower the better on volume. Potential AU and or AJ trade. Long entry. Pretty good. It looks like the volume's a bit on the lower side, maybe on the AU. Again, if they're so similar and correlated, and I have to pick one, I could do a little on each, but whatever looks cleaner. And technically, the volume is quite nice and low there on the AU situation. So I'll let you know if I go in anything. Right now I'm leaning towards AU because of that really low volume reaction on the 14 EMA. No supply. If I do take that, I would have my stop. Again, allowing for the fake break. So to really narrow it down to a price, 84, There's plenty of room. 85. But we could hang out here and see volume drop even further. Before, see, now the thing is, we are getting, right, the factual information that the selling here is a lot less active than the buying, right? We dropped in volume where we wanted to see it. So what's the final piece is that they actually go into markup. So at this point, I want to be convinced that, because you can get a situation here where you get this imbalance, but it's just not moving up. It's just hanging around. It starts floating down. It's quiet out there. And then into some lower prices, you know, it pops back up again on some strength, right? That means they're just taking their time accumulating. If they feel like they can get lower prices, if they have a certain timing in mind, then there's no reason to do it prematurely. So the last piece here, now that we've seen the imbalance, is for me to really get convinced that they're marking up. You see some aggressive moves to the upside. You see some aggressive ticks to the upside, right? I mean, you're looking at it now. Are they like, it's go time, it's markup time? Obviously not, right? We're still testing. Anyone willing to sell out there? Now's your chance. If it's quiet, you hear crickets, and you hear crickets for a while, for 3 candles, good. It's good to know. Let's see. Now, if the market's going to come down on low volume here, it's because, remember, these buyers pause their activity at these test areas. Buyers pause. That's why we can say the volume here represents selling activity. They could float down on low volume. So it's going to float. If it floats down here, it's not because this high volume selling bringing it down. It's because the buying is so, you know, it's paused. It's stopped for the moment. So really, not literally stopped, but it's very, very inactive, very quiet, very small amount. So it doesn't take much selling to bring it down. So you do get those, as they've been labeled, no supply candles, which are, you know, bearish candles on low volume. Also, this is very often, most often, where the automatic rally sets up, right? Automatic rally is the first level of resistance after strength. So the 14 EMA, as you see, is most often where you're going to get that. So we're just starting to say, okay, automatic rally here. So we use that going forward. If you know the wyckoff stuff, that's more in the big picture of the phases, right? Automatic rally would be in your accumulation. But it does apply fractally throughout the time frames. I don't think back then they were doing 5-minute charts. You didn't have a computer. You'd have to look at the daily, I guess. 4-hour daily chart, unless you're going to sit there like writing out every price tick and try to figure out what's going on a 5-minute chart. But it does exist. It's just the nature of supply and demand. You get these patterns. Small time frames, large time frames. When you have the forces of supply and demand and some large money that knows what they're doing, things should be very clean and obvious, right? Okay, so test for sellers, we're getting our answer. Moderate light selling showed up. No issue on potentially still taking the long, right? So again, from here, not very complicated. A lot of you already know this. If we continue down into this area, again, we need to make sure that the buying is still active. It doesn't have to be as much as the first test, and typically it's not. As I call it, the unfinished U shape. So you get high volume, right? Then you get the low volume on the test, and then you come back up for some high volume. Maybe not finish the U shape, but typically it's a little less than that. And that's going to show up maybe into here and on a fake break. So there, going forward, I would say you're still looking at a good imbalance. But now we do have just barely, but I'll say officially, just barely the automatic rally now. Of course, it's in the usual spot. We already knew this was going to happen here, right? The test and potentially resistance. So we could end up pushing through, as I call it, pushing through the automatic rally level that I'm drawing. And still continuing to see lack of any high volume. The lower the better. Representing sell activity. Now it's really a good thing I'm not trading on my computer because this thing is getting so laggy. So laggy. It's getting worse. I can't even move the chart now. Did my MT4 freeze? Yes, it did. Nice timing. All right, I'm looking on my phone right now because my MT4 just froze. Wow. Oh, it's back. It's back. Okay, good. It's back. But I'm looking on my phone because I know it's a bit laggy. I could see at least. But I do need to see the volume. That's not on my phone. Oh, I can go to TradingView on my phone. That's all. Okay. So potential entry here. Give me a nice non-laggy updating quotes. Hurry up. Okay. Bit of activity there. A bit excessive on the pushing through on the Australian dollar. Bit much on that volume. Are we still frozen here? Yeah, it's coming in and out. Don't trust my MT4 chart. Look at your chart. It's kind of freezing and coming back. So I'm looking at TradingView on my phone. So you see the Australian dollar pushed through the test area, right? But we have high volume up here, so it's a bit dangerous. I would like to see these prices maybe accepted. You know, this 14, 15, 77, 15 area. Accepted on lower volume to make sure we're not getting squashed, right? And seeing weakness. Seeing the price get squashed down here. This is the highest volume of the session on the AU. So I want to be careful. If it leads to a higher close on low volume or something like that, then I'm not worried about it. But it could confirm weakness and bring it down. So it was, you know, very easy in textbook when it was sitting there at low volume. Now that we have this, give it a second, right? See the result. Maybe it would be less laggy if I put one chart. Yeah, probably not. So looking at the 1 minute, that is not showing a low volume, obviously, there. So I think the things get more laggy over time. I have to figure that out. Give me the 5 minute chart. Let's go. Really bad now. Takes like 10 seconds after I click for it to happen. If it happens at all. Okay, so if that volume wasn't high, we'd be looking to get in, right? So that says wait. Now, again, if we get a lower close as a result, it's confirming some weakness. Let's chill out. It could come down and do that fake break. Good thing we wait for the test, right? Good thing we make sure that that selling is not there. Right now, it's really a mix of buying and selling in large amounts because that's a lot of volume, and we haven't really had much price movement. So how do you have a lot of volume without much price movement? It's buying and selling both active in similar amounts, right? So the buyers are there, and they may have started marking up a bit and hit some active sellers. A bit of a mishmash, but that's not an imbalance, right? So let that clean up. If there's a failed attempt to push through the automatic rally, then I update that. Obviously, if that fails and closes down, this will be going forward our automatic rally. A fake break doesn't count as a break; it's a fake, so I update it because that's the resistance now. If I can draw a straight line in this stupid thing, there. U.S. market open volume, 6 minutes ago. Yes, correct. So you get that when we're looking for a low volume test. Same thing with London open on that spike. It's like, all right, great. We have looks like an entry. We just need low volume. Or this is an important level. We need to find out what's going to go on. And then it's London open. And the volume is going to be high no matter what. So you got to just say, okay, let it happen and then move forward. Maybe we test it again or move on to the next piece of information that we can trust. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right back. All right. Well, that's a wait and see now. I better keep my phone on because this thing's so laggy. Wow. Okay. So besides that, market open spike. Everything was looking pretty good, going according to plan. So it's still very likely to set up. Again, we have our automatic rally. If we get above that, lower the better on volume. That really confirms we're going into markup at that point. I'd look to get in. And if we're moving down, right, we want to make sure we're seeing this type of activity into this area. And we can still look for that. If there's anyone new here who's not really familiar with the setups, again, it's good to look at the pound dollar yesterday off of the low as an example of a setup confirming this type of pattern. If the chart's going to let me do it. Oh, that's a lot to ask right now. Yesterday's 5 minute. Come on. Go. Why did it jump forward? The jump forward thing is not even on right now. Oh, forget it. You can go look yourself. Go look. Oh my gosh. Really, the streaming makes it so laggy. It's getting worse and worse. On the fake break buying, how much would be ideal volume if it goes lower to fake break? Ideal? Well, ideal highest volume of the day. Ideal. But you could say the more volume, the better, to give you a read on the quality of the trade. But if you want to use the word ideal, right? Ideal is the highest volume of the week, of the year. That's not that much. Higher the better. Good enough to take would be like, again, putting aside the U.S. Open spike and what we were working off of, the demand and supply back here, right? Typically what you see is something similar but not as high, right? So around, if you can give me a crosshair, thank you. So there's our demand coming in, there's our supply. That's where we were working off of before the spike. So you're going to want more than this low volume supply. That's for sure, right? You're going to want more volume than this off of new low ground here, fake break stuff. Higher the better. You know, if it's, let's say here, this much volume, that's fine. And of course, having it show up in the right spot in the right way. And sometimes, you know, the volume's a bit flat. It's not quite as much as you want, but then you look at the 1 minute chart and it's a big spike off the low. You know, you just got to consider, you know, if they're showing up, you'll know. And how much they're showing up, you'll know. And if they're not showing up, you'll know, right? So don't be overly technical. Just see what the chart tells you they're doing and how much. And that'll tell you how good the trade looks. The more, the better. Doesn't have to be more than the supply volume. Well, that's the open spike. So that's the thing. If it wasn't that would scare me and say, I don't want to be buying right now. So you have to consider that is exaggerated. Just like we used to deal with the session, the London Open. And that volume was going to increase no matter what. We just happened to be testing for supply. If we were down testing for demand, we would be fooled into thinking, wow, it's huge demand, right? Take it for what it is. And the best thing to do is to get another piece of information following that now, which could be obviously lower prices or even higher prices showing low volume, right? The next piece of information now can be trusted. We'll go forward from there. All right, very good, very good. All right, so we did an extra 45 minutes today. I will leave you with any last information I can get. No, I guess I won't because I can't even change charts right now. I clicked on $1 about 15 seconds ago. I'm still waiting. Not sure how I'm going to do this. I feel like if I update the operating system in this computer, it'll be happier. It's a few years old at this point because I hate doing updates. I feel like it's time. I'm going to have to. $1 still stuck. All right, so the analysis didn't change. You can always go back and see my initial analysis from the beginning of the session because $1 hasn't moved, right? Pound hasn't moved. sitting up around the high for hours and hours. So, yeah, literally, you could go back. Yeah, we're still sitting up there. So, you could go back for the detailed analysis that I did in the first 30 minutes once we got going. So, nothing's changed on that, really. Or if you've been here the whole time, you already know what's happening there. But, yeah, you could definitely go back and check that if you want to get informed on the other pairs. And again, with this, closest to an entry, we've been focusing on, we know what we're looking for, right? If it wants to break to the downside, let's say, just trying to cover scenarios then, what else could happen here? If it breaks to the downside and there's buying throughout the down move, look at this now. Come on. Look at this. I was trying to see what level is going to be below, but I don't know if it's going to let me. There we go. Yeah, we're back to that. Now, this is all working off our background. You know, hypothetically, anything could happen. You can come through here. The demand doesn't show up, right? And then on some fib pullback, you see highest volume of the day supply. What does that tell you? You can go into support, right? So you got to go with the flow. Would I take that trade? If the volume's high enough, I would. We're talking about changing our bias, so it would have to be a lot of volume. Now, if it just gets bought into on the way down, and we're still moving down, but we're seeing the buying come in, then it's very likely going to be the long setup off of here, which could be late, and that's fine. But there's still a very good chance of a setup here. And again, the easiest way to do that is, well, if there's any other questions on the setup, let me know, is getting through that automatic rally here and seeing what we initially were looking for into these higher prices, now updated to this higher price, is the lower volume, the better. Now, another thing is, if it does drop down and do a double bottom, fake break, strength here, you can reset. You don't necessarily have to wait for this up here to break to get into the trade, right? So we come down, we see strength again, which is crucial to even getting in here. And then from there, it could be a 14 EMA test on very low volume and you get in. It could be a new sort of lower automatic rally that sets up and a push through that. And going forward, this is simply just a test area, and you have to watch that as the price tries to get through it. You know, and if it tries to get through and you get squashed on huge volume, you might want to move your stop to break even or something in an extreme case. So just know that that's a level then going forward, if it's not really the automatic rally anymore. But sometimes these things could sort of reset up off of strength and testing down there, and you get a better price to get in. So you don't really have to wait for that if that's the story down there. A nice imbalance, right? Yeah, I was thinking that, Christopher, right? That's what I need to do. Well, we made an improvement from last week's stream with the sound quality and stuff, so we're getting there. So I'm going to keep improving it until we're good. Yeah, but that's the next issue. All right, guys, any last questions before I go? I'll give you one more time. The website is a subscription box, not the questions form, but the subscription box. And if you put your email there, you'll be notified of when these streams are happening. Typically, they're going to be Tuesday and Thursday. And we'll figure out the time, maybe an hour later than we started today. So we're kind of closer to the action on Thursday. And also, if you're new, just popping in, a ton of YouTube videos that I have, and it's free, and you can learn lots of stuff. to check the cryptos, but I better not do it on my computer. Let's see before I go. Pulling back, okay. Yeah, we'll see what if it tests the support. If Bitcoin wants to test 30,000 ish again, and maybe show strong accumulation, potentially double bottom fake break, and then I would be adding to my longs on that for sure. I would be. I like the lower volume, lack of supply up there in the last few hours, last few 4-hour candles. So, but I've bought, I'm owning what I want to own at the moment down here. I'm not 100% convinced we're ready to move up. We had all this strength. The down move is over. Of course, we're ready for anything. But a double bottom fake break, sort of sign of strength into a down move on the cryptos, now that they're generally moving down. See if those buyers hit and keep accumulating. And if so, I'm going to increase my position. Okay. All right, guys. So I will see you on Thursday. I'll update you on the time. Make sure you're getting the emails. I did send one out today to everybody. Yesterday. So I'll email you. And I will see you on Thursday. Have a good one.